Love that sound. That's just so awesome. I don't know where I found that, but I sure do love that intro, and I hope you do too. I've had a lot of people say they liked it, and I've had some people say they didn't like it because they thought it was distracting. But I love it because you are so welcome to be here, and I am so happy to be here with you tonight. Of course, this is day 6. You wouldn't know that till I tell you that now, so I'm telling you now. This is day 6 of the Online Crew Video Challenge, hosted by Helen Martin from Australia. What a wonderful lady. Second time I've done this challenge, and it's just, it's an amazing thing when you can break a fear, when you can defeat something that's defeating you, when you can actually challenge your limits rather than limiting your challenges. And tonight I am going to be talking about a book that helped me do that. But in the meantime, for those of you that are watching me now, thank you for being here. Welcome. Tell me where you are. Put it in the comments. Say, hey, I'm watching from wherever. I'm in Toronto, Canada, Northwest Toronto, in a place called Brampton, and I'd love to connect with you, see how you're doing, and say, hey, what's it like in your part of the world? If you're watching this on a replay, by all means, give me a hashtag replay, and still tell me where you are watching from. Of course, feel free to ask questions, make comments. Love to have you here with me. Last time I went live, we had some amazing comments and amazing engagement, and it was such a powerful call the last time I was here. Jackson, Tennessee. Awesome. Good to have you here. Click on the StreamYard link that's in my posts. Oh, Ashok, I haven't heard from you for a long time. Just getting into the stream here. I just want to let everybody know who I am. I'm Coach Dean Brown, the paradigm changer, father of 5. I'm a high-performance life and law of attraction coach. I'm an affiliate marketer, and I'm a serial businessman. I empower coaches, consultants, creative business owners, and C-suite executives who struggle with a lack of results in cracking the code to being more productive while working fewer days per week. That's important, so they can reconnect with their passions and afford to have more fun while they're doing it. I teach how to generate more high-ticket leads, close more sales, scale revenue, maximize personal and team results to facilitate enjoyment of life, of living life to its fullest. I'm a brother to those that know me and a friend to those that don't. So by all means, I'm happy to have you here. I'm happy to share that with you. The reason I'm here tonight is to share about a book. Tonight's task for our live video challenge is to talk about a book that's made a huge difference for us, or for me and my business. And of course, I teach it to my clients. I actually share it with my clients because it's a powerful book and it makes a huge difference once you start to realize that you need to discover your strengths and not focus on your weaknesses. So of course, this book is available from Amazon. It's available from your local book supplier. And I strongly encourage you to find this book for yourself. Read it, listen to it, whatever it is that you like to do. Get it on Kindle as a digital, whatever the case may be. As the title says, Strengthsfinders. You see, society has taught us something in the past where, you remember those days as a kid when you'd take your report card home and you had some good grades and you had some not so good grades and you might have even had a really shitty grade like an F or something like that? And what was the focus when you took that? Well, of course, you were terrified if you didn't have straight A's because your parents always expected straight A's. Everybody in society does, because everybody in society seems to want you to have strengths in all their areas of what they say where you should be strong. And they punish you for your weaknesses. And this is backwards, my friends. I have discovered, and I went through life. I went through lots of life where everybody was punishing everybody for their weaknesses, saying, you got to do this better, you got to do that better, but not celebrating their strengths. And it's so backwards. Thank you for that thumbs up. And what we have to understand in life is that everybody has different strengths. Everybody has different weaknesses, but everybody has strengths and weaknesses. There's no such thing as one of us human beings being full of strengths without any weaknesses. Everybody has a weakness. Man, when the first time I went live on Facebook, my finger was so scared to touch that button. It was scared because my mind was talking about fear. And fear is what stops us from doing things. And we get fearful because we are always chastised about the things we're weak at. We're never, or I shouldn't say never, but we're not often enough in a place where we're celebrated. We celebrate our strengths. Did your parents ever say, hey, that A plus was so awesome. I'm so glad you did that. What did you do to get there? And how can you teach other people to be that A plus student in that subject? Math, science, recess. Who cares? You got an A plus. It doesn't matter about the E's and the F's. We'll work on that. We'll get you to be a little more comfortable and get you to maybe spend a little more time. But we're not going to beat you up over what you don't do well. We're not going to beat you up mentally, obviously, about the things that you don't do well. This is how society has things backwards. This is how the education system is so twisted. It's so backwards. And not only that, but we're dealing with 40, 50, 80, 100-year-old subject matter in our education system. The education system can't afford to keep up to the things that have been discovered and developed insofar as education is concerned. So that is why it's so important to read books, and to read books that intelligent people and your mentors and your coaches suggest to you. Because guess what? Every successful person on this planet, every person that's a high achiever, a millionaire, a billionaire, whatever the case may be, they read books. And they read a lot of books. They read something every day. That's the mantra. Read something, listen to something every day. What this book talks about, it lists a whole bunch of strengths and describes them in such a way that you go, wait a second, I have that strength. I never knew I had that strength. And this is the key. We need to be in that place where we understand what our strengths are, rather than spend all our time focusing on what our weaknesses are. Our weaknesses aren't going to get us where we need to go. Our weaknesses are what holds us back from where we want to go, or the things we want to achieve, or the successes we're hoping to manifest, the dreams that we want, the travel, the new home, the partner, the new car, whatever it is. You're not going to get there focusing on what your weaknesses are. You're only going to get where you want to go focusing on where your strengths are. So I'm encouraging you, my friends, that's a subtle thing. That's a subtle thing, change in your perception, in your understanding of who you are, who your clients are, who your employees are, what your business stands for, what your relationship stands for. All these things in life that make such a big difference for who we are and what is part of who we are. My friends, it's critical. It's so important to change your paradigm and get into a place where you're focusing on your strengths. Develop those strengths. Give you a short little analogy about that. Tiger Woods, the golfer. If you're not a golfer, you may not know who Tiger Woods is, but he's a very famous golfer. And what Tiger always did was be in that place where you improve your strengths to get better. And of course, as Connie would say, and thank you for this comment, my dear girl, I love you. Reading is the bridge to our strengths. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate that, because without that bridge, we fall into the gap. So great analogy, Connie. Excellent analogy. And we don't want to fall into that gap of ignorance, of lack of knowledge, of letting our weaknesses rule us. We need to be in that place where we let that knowledge from the books that we read, from the books that other people share with us. And I'm not talking entertainment. So there's two kinds of books, entertainment and education. And yes, read a book for entertainment. I'm not saying don't entertain yourself. What I am saying is put time aside to educate yourself. It's so important. If you don't improve, if you don't choose to change something, then nothing's going to change. And you're always going to be in that place where you are, struggling to find the bridge, struggling to get around the valley, through the gap, whatever the case may be. I'm going to use that, Connie, because that was very well said. It's important, my friends. It's crucial. It's critical for each of us to be our best and to recognize what our strengths are. I was considering, reading out a couple of strengths, but there's so many of them in this book. It's not a very thick book. It's a thin book. But the thing, and I'm reading it twice now, you can see where the marker is. And that's another point I want to share with you. When you read a book, our mind is so caught up in the new information that we understand the concepts, but we go down rabbit holes in that first reading, especially if you're listening to the book, because the book keeps going while you're still thinking. You haven't, like, you can stop time by reading a physical book, but you got to pause the book as an audio book in order to think about it and not miss something. I'm an audio reader. I love Audible, and I listen to, well, I should say audio reader. That doesn't make any sense, but I'm an audio listener. And what I've discovered as a listener to books is that the first time you're introduced to the concept and you hear something dramatic or powerful or inspirational or just like mind-blowing, and you go down a rabbit hole in that thought, and you get into a place where you're thinking blah, 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 whatever the case may be on that thought. Meanwhile, the book's still being audible. It's the author's still talking, or whoever's narrating the book is still talking, and you miss those points. You're not getting the whole message in the book the first time through. And I found that even with reading books. I've read numerous books 5 and 6 times and found something, a new nugget each and every time I've read it, because your mind progresses and gets into that place where you connect something differently each time you get the information. So listen to the book once to get the start. Listen to the book twice, because you're not going to go down through that rabbit hole. Actually, you're going to listen to it 3 times to actually truly get the message, and more than 3 times if you want to master the subject and the content and get into that place where you're so powerfully involved in understanding stuff that the book might be talking and teaching you about. Now, I'm sure that many of you have heard the 10,000 hour rule. That 10,000 hour rule talks about how when you become a novice at anything, musical instrument, physical activity, sport, anything that's new to you, you're not going to do well at it. Meditation is an amazing example of this. When I first started meditating, it was a mind bender, because I'm thinking to myself, this sucks. I can't even pretend to enjoy this, because I'm not noticing anything other than the fact that my mind is racing. You don't get good at anything right away. And there's always an element of fear. And that fear comes from other people's information that you've listened to, other things that you've been taught, that instills those fears in your life and ruins your willingness to just say, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to just keep going for it. And I'm going to get better at it. And I'm going to improve. And I'm going to talk about it with people. And I'm going to let it change my mindset so that I can change my life and change my paradigm and help other people learn because of what I've learned. And that's the key, my friends. This is how we change the world, by changing one person at a time. And that person is you, yourself. That's the person you need to change first. Because if you're still the same, you can't teach someone else to be different or better. You need to change your own paradigm, your own perspective, your own personal reality before you can help someone else change. And it's never going to happen. You're never going to be in that place where you're changing someone else without changing yourself first. So that's how I run my business. That's how I coach my clients. That's how I teach my children. That's how I get along with my wife. And that's how I love my neighbors and my friends, my brothers and my sisters, is by understanding that nobody's perfect. And most certainly I am not perfect. There's lots of different things that I need to get better at. I need to build my strengths without focusing on my weaknesses. Build my courage without focusing on my fear. Challenge my limits. Don't limit your challenges. This is how we change. This is how we grow. Now, with that 10,000 hour rule, the reason that was coined or phrased was that any person that's a master, now you're going to learn something, you're going to practice something, you're going to become that something, and then you can start to teach that something because you know it well enough that you can teach it. Once you can teach it well enough, you even still learn, because the people you're teaching are going to come up with thoughts or questions or challenges that you didn't experience. And you have to learn it even deeper. Then you become the master. And by the time you've become the master, you're going to spend thousands of hours learning, practicing, becoming, teaching, relearning, because now you have to help the other person learn. You have to understand, wait a second, I never thought of that problem. That problem never occurred to me. Because guess what? You can't think of everything. Nobody can. And this is why humans are meant to connect. We're meant to connect and help each other. This is why books are out there, so that you can find a book that speaks to you, that resonates with a challenge you have, and learn it. And the thing about the Strengthsfinder book is there's assessment in the back of the book. When you are finished the book, now that's one of the things I want to share with you. When you get this book, don't buy a used copy. Buy a new copy, because there's an assessment in the back, a link to an assessment. It's an online assessment that can only be used once. So if you buy a used book and the person that read the book read it all the way through and found the assessment and did the assessment, you cannot do the assessment, because the link will only accept one person, and the original owner of the book. Not an expensive book. It's an interesting read, because it's going to open your mind to all the different strengths, that many of which you didn't realize you had. Because I went through it, like even now when I'm going through it the second time, I'm thinking, yeah, that's right. I forgot I had that strength. Even though I read that through the first time and understood it the first time, I'm still going, oh yeah, I don't embrace that particular strength well enough. Let's improve that strength. Or, of course, you're going to read through and you're going to say, well, that's not me. That's not a strength I have. That's not something I can even pretend to accept for, or who I am, which is cool. We can't be like the Hulk and have every strength, physical, mental, regenerative, all those. We just can't do that. It doesn't exist. We are human. We are fallible. We are flawed. And I love you for that, because if I didn't go through all those challenges and learn all those lessons and get to the bottom and have to fight my way back up, I wouldn't be able to help anybody else do that. And trust me, when you're helping someone else out and you haven't done the work yourself, the other person's going to know that you've never been there. You've never done that. And you can't help them, because now they don't trust you. They don't have faith in you. They don't believe in you, because they've realized that you're faking it. So my friends, you've heard that phrase, fake it till you make it. I disagree with that one. I say, by all means, admit that you don't know, but you're learning how to be better at it. If you're allowed to have a weakness, why not admit the weakness? Be vulnerable. Let people know that you're not perfect. Because guess what? If you try to be perfect when you're not, then the people that you teach and mentor and coach and so on and so forth are going to end up with that same flaw. They're not going to realize that they have to make mistakes. They have to be vulnerable in order to get through to those strengths. Don't punish about the weakness. Celebrate about the strength. But understand your weakness. It's like the Taoists. The Taoists always studied what their weaknesses were. So those weaknesses weren't what it was that caused them to fail. They would know what they couldn't do. You need to know what your limits are. If you don't know what your limits are, you can't prevent yourself from messing up because of those limits. You need to know. You need to be aware. You need to accept the things that you don't do well. So what if there's something you don't do well? Who cares? Just learn how to do it. Or learn a different way to do it. Or delegate and get someone that's on your team, or a friend or a family member or an employee, or whatever the circumstance you have, to do it for you. But I do recommend that if you're going to train a team member in your business as an employee, you either need to train them well enough because you know, or you need to have a trainer that can train them well enough because they know. You don't want to be training people to be weak and unprofessional. You want them to get to that master level where they can truly make a difference for themselves, honestly and truly for themselves, and the people they teach. I got to ask you, anything that you've ever been good at, that you've celebrated yourself for being good at? Question: have you ever taught anybody about it? Have you ever shared with anybody about that knowledge, about that strength, about that ability? Have you ever gone in competition to get better? Did you ever go in competition with your weakness to be the thing you focus on, or your strength? Now, lots of people, when they go into marathons or physical, things like games or whatever the case, and I'm talking video games too, because you got to start out with with terrible hand-eye coordination, right? And no understanding of how the game operates, you're going to get better. If you're not any good at it, now you know you're no good at it, and you know it's a weakness. But if you improve and you enjoy and you like it, and you gather together with other people, you connect as a human, then that is going to become one of your greater strengths. You're going to build that strength. It went from a desire and a hope and a joy to something that you love because you're really good at it. And you have connection with other people that are good at it and that love it. And this is the key factor. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for that connection. We're looking for that place as human beings connected around the world can help each other get stronger and not be focusing on the weaknesses that bring everybody down. You have strengths, you have abilities, share them, embrace them, improve them, make your life better, and make the life of the friends and family and employees and team members and clients better as well. Embrace it. My friends, this is such a powerful thought, powerful concept, and I encourage you to take that tiger by the tail. There's a little tail in my book for my bookmark. Take that tiger by the tail and do something different. Embrace that change. Build that strength. Recognize that weakness so it doesn't trip you up when you're crossing the bridge. Connie, I love that one, Connie. So I'm still going to keep using that all so much because that was an excellent comment. Reading is the bridge to our strengths. Yes, indeed. And that was an awesome one. That really was good. Really, really enjoyed that, Connie. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining me tonight, everybody. If anybody has a question before I break off, Sonia, hey, good to see you. Imagine that. We love this video challenge, don't we, girl? It's challenging us to do more and more things, and you get more comfortable, and you choose to do things that you wouldn't normally do because you know that it's going to improve your life, improve your business. So it's good to see you on here, Sonia. You're almost too late for a comment because I'm getting ready to call it a night. It's getting late here in Brampton, and I think it's late where you are. But thank you so much for joining me on this call tonight, Sonia. I really appreciate it. It was good to see the Facebook user from Jackson, Tennessee. I'm not sure who you are, but thank you for being here. By all means, in the future, if you go on live with someone because they're using StreamYard, you can see my banner and all that stuff, my logo up. And where is it? I got the orientation to my camera. You got to know, oh, yes, I know you are, Sonia. I know you're not far from me. You're in Ontario, too. Listowel, I think it was, you said? I can't remember now, but you're a farmer. You live on a farm out in that area, and I'm really, really enjoying your videos as well in this video challenge. And this is something that is an awesome thing for everybody to enjoy, is to get on as many challenges, any digital, online challenges that resonate. Don't waste your time, and don't get into things you can't do well, like you can't complete, I mean, because it will improve your strengths and allow you to see your weaknesses. So do that. And of course, by all means, my friends, thank you so much for being here tonight. Very, very thankful for all of you. Much love to you. Oh, by the way, if you're listening to me on Facebook, by all means, give me a heart or a care. Yes, I'm loving hearing everybody else's videos too. Thank you, Sonia. I appreciate that comment. And I was just gonna say, give me some comments so I know you're there and what you're thinking, and I can engage with you while you're making comments. Understand that if you ever do go live, thank you, Connie, for don't say anything to anybody when they put up a thumb or a heart or anything. Let them comment before you say anything, because if you call them out too soon, they might get skittish and drop off, and then they won't hear the rest of your message. But of course, if you're listening to me on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with you. By all means, follow me. If you're listening to me on Twitter, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know. Put a comment in. If you're listening to me on my YouTube channel, by all means, give me a comment, a thumbs up, a subscribe. I'd love to have you subscribe. Looking forward to making connections with all of you. Much love, my friends. Have a great night. and away we go. Yes, great point about the yeah, don't call someone out. Is that what you're talking about, Sonia? Is just let them comment before you say hello, because you might scare them away, and you don't want to do that. They showed up, so encourage them to stick around. Give them some good laugh, have fun, make a mistake, get your tongue caught around your eye teeth, and you can't see what you're saying. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We're all connected. We're all learning how to build our strengths. So, my friends, I can talk. So, like I said, I'll let you go. Love you guys. We'll see you next time. Good night.